Hello and welcome to this evening's episode of On the Record. My name is Vuyo Mvogo. Now on tonight's show, we look at an exclusive SABC News expose that we're going to show you how firearm proficiency certificates are fraudulently sold for a few thousand rands. Shockingly, the illegal act was committed by the Secretary of the South African Professional Firearm Trainers Council, who also runs a firearm academy. The documents were handed over with neither the knowledge of the Firearms Control Act nor practical skills being tested. Our reporter Griselda Lewis and cameraman Wayne Houghton went undercover.
Skopo's Firearms Academy is literally under fire.
Regulation 21.
Its owner, Andre van Tonder, sold us firearms certificates through the back door. These documents open the door to a firearm license being issued.
Daarso sy sertifikaat.
Okay.
Here,
Daar's 'n plek
he sells us a proficiency certificate and statement of results,
die statement of results.
even though our knowledge of the Firearms Control Act was never tested.
En dan net vir my
And neither did we undergo a practical test on how to use a firearm at his shooting range. These are the documents that were fraudulently issued, claiming that the course has been completed. His underhand activities come with a price tag as demonstrated here. So we confronted him days later. Mr. Van Tonder, why are you participating in illegal activity?
Because
How can you say that somebody knows how to use a firearm when they cannot? He's never used a handgun in his life. He doesn't even understand the Firearms Control Act. And you okayed this. For 1,110 rand, this is a danger to society. Stumbling and unable to explain,
The person said to me, they have a serious, urgent contract that they have
so
to
you
sort
got
out.
involved in an illegal activity because somebody came to you with a story.
As I just said.
Do you know that that is illegal? What you did was illegal. Do you at least acknowledge that? What you did is illegal.
I say it could be probably illegal.
He was then forced to pay back the money. Van Tonder also sits on the board of the South African Professional Firearms Trainers Council, the gun training authority in the country. The body now says it's reviewing his position. And just last week, President Jacob Zuma announced that a new unit within the Hawks will be established to deal with the proliferation of firearms. Griselda Lewis, SABC News, Klorkop in Johannesburg.
Well, Griselda Lewis joins us here in the studio. What did the guy think he was doing?
It's absolutely absurd. It's absurd how easily accessible, Vuyo, these firearms documents are available on the streets. It took us literally an hour to be able to get a proficiency certificate, which essentially says that we were able to do the tests, write a test that shows that we are knowledgeable of what the Firearms Control Act says, and also that we've done a practical test using a gun, firing a gun. We didn't do none of those, and simply sold a sob story to the gentleman, and within an hour we were able to get those all crucial documents. It's quite shocking.
I mean, just looking at the way he reacts, I mean, it would all be funny if it wasn't as serious. But did you get a sense that he realizes that it has sank in his mind, just the gravity of this whole thing, to give someone a certificate that says you're able to carry a firearm? I mean, someone who then takes a firearm and doesn't even know how to shoot.
It's very difficult to say what drives individuals like this to do what they did. But what's more absurd is the fact that this is somebody who sits on a council which oversees, the Firearms Training Council oversees training of firearms or training in the firearms sector throughout South Africa. And this is somebody who sits on the board of this council. So he certainly knows what the rules and the regulations are. and certainly went, I guess, what was clearly demonstrated there, once he was promised money, he would do anything to get himself on 1,110 Rand. That's exactly what we paid for the proficiency certificate and the statement of results, which brings also into question, Vuyo, the organization itself, because he sits on the board of this organization which oversees training in South Africa. That's not just any Dick, Tom and Harry or somebody who is running an academy. This is somebody who sits on the board of an organization that sees throughout the country. And the seriousness, I think, was demonstrated if we just look back and think about this in a wider perspective. When President Jacob Zuma, during his State of the Nation debate reply, when he indicated that there was going to be a new unit under the walks which was going to be established to look into the proliferation of firearms, because we can't shy away from the fact that violent crime, people dying by the gun, isn't a problem in South Africa. So, which is even more alarming when you've got documents for people like us who went searching for documents, yet we couldn't even use firearms. I've never held a firearm in my life. And you've got someone who okayed that with a document, all for just a couple of thousand Rand.
Did you get a sense that it was just desperation? In other words, to get the money, 1,100 Rand. For goodness sake, that's not even a lot of money.
I wouldn't say desperation, because in our interview, there's an extended version which we haven't yet been able to show the viewer. But in an extended version, he does acknowledge that he's done this before. So this is not the first time that he has done this. He's not the first time he's issued these certificates illegally. In the conversation prior to the bust that we did today, when we had gone through the process of trying to secure those documents, he did indicate that, well, it was okay. He could certainly do the documents for us. He's done it before, so we needed to go away for a half an hour so that he could go through it and manufacture everything, because including the identity document that we gave him was not legitimate. So he used an identity document which we provided, and without a proper system of checks and balances, sent that to the training council, which very shockingly also, we did not question him. Did not question him, I guess, on the basis that he sits on the board.
But why? Was it on the basis of trust? Or was it because, I mean, this guy has effectively become a law unto himself? In other words, the organization itself is dysfunctional to a point that this guy runs a one-man show. He knew that there would be no checks and balances. Do we know? The
training council the council is responsible for overseeing all of these accredited firearms training academies. So yes, Skopos is accredited, but you've got somebody who's sitting on the board of that council who sends through paperwork. Perhaps we don't know what took place at the council. They probably just approved everything without asking questions, which really raises issues about whether the council does not have loopholes. If a training academy is accredited and they send through documents, do they just take it at face value that the documents that are being sent are legitimate and that the training has been conducted? It's very serious questions, Vuyo, which in the next few hours we will be putting. The story continues. We understand that the council, the other board members on this training council are furious, and that some action is going to be taken in the next couple of hours. Our sources are saying we might be looking at a possible suspension, literally overnight, of this particular board member. And also, crucially, is the accreditation, because these academies themselves need to be accredited by the South African Police Service. So what happens then to the accreditation? It's now proved, and he has acknowledged, that what they did was fraudulent. What then happens to the accreditation, the SABC accreditation of this institution? Because it's got to be accredited.
Well, I think what's going to happen to the man himself, I mean, having admitted he did, is I don't think is what we should even be talking about. It should be straightforward and simple, frankly. The issue for me would be, how deep could this thing go?
Certainly is very deep. The reason why we started...
We're not talking here about maybe an academy and a group of people who are corrupt, and this thing has been going on for a very long time. It just has never been uncovered before.
It raises serious questions for you about how many people have firearms in their possession, yet they don't understand the Firearms Control Act, which guides you on what and what not to do, and also people who simply have never handled a firearm in their lives. but you've got the documents to say that you know how to do so. That's what's shocking, is that we cannot quantify, to say at this stage, how we put these questions to the individual to say, so if you could do this to us, how many more times? Certainly you are not going to get him to admit that he's done it before. But it raises serious questions about how many individuals in South Africa are in possession of firearms and have fraudulently acquired documents to possess those firearms. There's simply no telling. That's what's even more shocking about it.
Do we know what it takes to get a person accredited or an academy?
Oh, absolutely. An academy itself needs to go through the system of checks and balances by getting accredited, first of all, with this council, the council which oversees these academies. So all accredited training academies, firearms training academies, would need then to be accredited by the council and also by the South African Police Service. So once that is done, then they would check if the place where you're operating from is secure and does meet the necessary criteria. And once you're able to pass that, you're then given the go-ahead to, I guess, then practice or offer this kind of training where you test people of their knowledge of the Firearms Control Act and are able to allow them to test on whether they can handle a firearm at a shooting range. So it's quite a stringent process. But the loopholes after acquiring that kind of accreditation...
That's it, you're left alone. Nobody is bothered to
check whether... There's no follow-ups in terms of whether these training academies are actually doing things according to the book. Our understanding is that there are many others who have gone through the very same process which we exposed and demonstrated this evening, who've gone through this process and are sitting with documents. Unfortunately, we can't expose a lot of them, but these are certainly questions we will be putting to the police minister in the next couple of hours.
What do you think are the chances of someone coming up tomorrow or the day after and saying to us, no, this was an act of one rogue element, rotten potato, nothing to worry about, everything is under control?
Actually, Vuyo, we will also be speaking to you in the next couple of hours. The story does become much greater. The training council itself, who has now distanced itself from one of their board members and says, however, there isn't a shortage of these cases that are coming up. They've admitted that there isn't a shortage of these cases, and you're seeing a number of these training academies. Suspensions are nothing new. Those who own academies, training academies, firearm training academies, are being suspended left, right, and center, which we find it just for President Jacob Zuma to announce this, because clearly there seems to be a problem that needs to be put to a stop immediately, because you simply cannot have a society where you don't know how many guns are on the streets illegally and the documents that people possess are fraudulently acquired.
Did you at any point during the conversations with him, apart from the stuff which we saw, did you at any point get a sense that if pushed, the guy could sing like a canary?
Oh, he certainly would. He certainly would, because I understand he knows what is at stake at the moment. This is somebody who sits on the board of an organization that oversees firearms training, so he knows what what he stands to lose. And in actual fact, I understand that the council has already contacted him. He has basically admitted to everything, because everything was caught on camera.
But was he taking responsibility? In other words, it's one thing to admit to everything, yes, and then saying, I acted alone on this, or did you at any point give an indication that, you know what, yes, I'm part of all of this, but I'm not alone? He
sort of felt like it was justified, because what we did in our investigation was that the person who went undercover simply indicated that they were rushing for a tender with a particular government department. One of their individuals does not have a proficiency certificate, and they stand to lose that tender with a couple of million. That was a short story that was told to him, and it was as simple as that. He was able to assist by the promise of money.
So it could well be that the 1,100 we're talking about for a certificate was just a little amount of money. We was hoping for more, in that a little later on, I mean, for people who are going to win a tender worth thousands, it could well be they would be coming back
I think what essentially he hoped for was that
if you give them now,
the training that the other security guards would require would then certainly want to go for training through his academy. So he was thinking much ahead of the actual story itself. He was hoping to score much bigger through the individual who we sent in to go and buy those certificates.
Criselda Lewis, thank you very much. But do remember to play it safe there.
Always, thank you, Vuyo.
Criselda Lewis, who is working on that investigation, and as she has just indicated, this is not the end of this story. Well, after the break, has Nelson Mandela's grandson sold his people by converting to Islam? We look at a debate that has gotten Muslim clerics and proponents of tradition hot under the collar. That's after this short break.
And I'm Robakini Chetty Miller, SAB Miller, Anheuser-Busch InBev. It's something that I need to learn to say more often.
Will together produce around a third of the world's beer.
It is a mouthful. Have you ever considered skin bleaching? Nigeria tops the list of African countries with 77% of its women bleaching their skin.
Now I can see that it is not good because it affects my face and some of my body parts.
Thousands of Arab Israelis and Palestinians participated in a big rally. Flight MH17 was shot down by a Russian-made missile.
How those chips may fall is a prediction best left to the currency of time.
That's Primetime News, Africa Journal, and Your World on SABC News.
Born with malformation of the limbs, David lives his life to the fullest.
I got this. Let me try my own. Got on the bed, then start playing soccer in the streets, then like do this.
He can play soccer, he reads and writes, he is even able to swim, a role model to his peers.
Look at the scripture. It doesn't say I'm a conqueror, it says I'm more than a conqueror.
Join your host Buleng Mulebati on Bupilong every Friday at 17:30.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Record. Well, Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandla Mandela, shocked some when he converted to Islam recently, following his decision to marry a devout Muslim woman. A debate has been raging since, with some suggesting that the chief of Abatembu, Basemvezo, has betrayed his people's belief and therefore no longer qualifies to be a traditional leader. Tonight on the program, we have two of the people who have entered this debate. From our Port Elizabeth studios, we have Sheikh Nceba Salamtu, and from our Pretoria studios, is traditional beliefs proponent and Icamagu Institute director, Nokuzola Mdende. Welcome to both of you. Mankale Ngawe Mama, from where you sit, what is wrong with what Mandla Mandela has done?
Tamagush, we understand the Constitution, Chapter 2, that everyone has got a right to freedom of religion. That's excellent. But when you are the leader of a community and when you are claiming that you are the custodian of African culture and spirituality, and then you convert, by converting, which means you have left what you used to believe in and you have adopted something else. So it's betrayal if you can claim that you are still the custodian of what you have left at the expense of what you have recently acquired. That is the problem. And if we look at the two religions, which are Islam and African traditional religion, though they both believe in the Creator, but when it comes to the intermediaries between the Creator and the living, their ancestors. Islam doesn't believe like that. And with the people that he is leading, they believe in ancestors, they practice rituals, they have got their own sacred places. So, but with Islam, they don't have. And again, when in our culture, as patriarchal as it is a woman who converts to a husband's religion and not vice versa, because it is the woman who is married to the husband and not the husband being married to the woman. And again, okay.
Sheikh Salamtu?
Yes, sir.
Where do you stand on this matter?
Welcome. Basically, it's we wish to firstly say that we welcome Chief Mandla Zwelivelile Mandela to the fold of Islam. And he actually has followed not only maybe if you can look at one of the first African leaders who was also a chief, Chief Albert Lutuli. His grandson also, today Tamsanga, is also a Muslim. So what Chief Mandla has done is not a new thing. And for us Muslims, hopefully it's something which shows that there are people, even among the indigenous people, who are seeing some light in the fact that Islam also talks to them.
Umamumdende says that because Islam, she believes that Islam is not really accommodative of African culture and tradition. Do you agree with her on that?
It's very difficult for someone to say she believes in this about Islam when she also acknowledges her ignorance of the actual Islamic belief. One thing which I want to say is Islam believes in ancestors. Islam believes in customs and rituals. Islam acknowledges that people are, whilst they have one ancestor in the name of Adam and one mother in the name of Eve, but the Almighty God has made them to have different cultures and different ways of life. So Islam acknowledges that.
Mamumdende, Islam recognizes beliefs.
You know, what I like, he says, the Sheikh says, Islam believes in one ancestor, Adam and Eve. And those are taken from a creation myth of the Abrahamic faiths, which are not part of the beliefs in the indigenous religion. Yes, they believe in Abrahamic faith, that is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So these are their doctrines. So they cannot impose their doctrines over ours. If I can make one example, Vuyo, if now Mandla wants to introduce his wife to Amadlomo, that they must perform a ritual of Ukudli Samasi, and that means a goat must be slaughtered, and the woman must eat a certain portion of that. And the Muslim woman cannot do that because they are halal. And with us, even slaughtering will be done in the cattle kraal by an intabi and so on and so on. The processes are different. And so she cannot be forced to perform the Ukudliswa Amasi ritual because she is Muslim. And
Sheikh?
Another thing, the Sheikh has, one thing I must say, Vuyo, she has mentioned the son of Chief Albert Lutuli, who was converted into Islam. And to convert, for a traditional leader to convert either to Christianity or to Islam is betrayal of their own tradition. It doesn't make it right because the person has denounced his own origin.
Yes, you can chip in, Sheikh.
The chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders in my province, that is the respectable and honorable Chief Ngagomhlapa Matansima, is a Christian and a proud Christian at that. And everyone respects him. He respects him. And I've never heard for a single moment where Mama Nokzola Mdende ever passed such a judgment on him.
Mama Mdende, double standards?
No. That is not true. If we're talking about Ubabu Umatanzima, and others Ndevu and others Ononkonyane and even Kosu Patekile, I'm talking about traditional leaders, all of them. They know that we are challenging them because they claim to be custodians of something they have left behind. Because if you say you are converting, that means you are living, you are syncretistic. You are practicing two religions at the same time, and you are using the colonial mentality that religion means Christianity or Islam, but the other part is called culture. So they are still using that. We are challenging that. There's even a book that I've written, Flying with Clipped Wings. I'm challenging even traditional leaders. They know, even in the National House of Traditional Leaders, they know that we are challenging them. So it's not true. Kosinga Ngomhlaba knows exactly my stand. And it's not that I've never challenged. It's a pity that have never heard that.
My point, you have never mentioned the way you have gone about with Mandla. You have never gone to almost all the radio stations and telling Babu Mandla that he had betrayed his ancestors. You never said that his ancestors will be even angry against him. And that's
I'm invited in the radio stations.
And but these are the statements which I'm quoting. These are the statements which I'm quoting from you verbatim. Statements which you have made in Kozi FM, we have made at SAFM, we have made in Mhlobo Wenene, and these are very insulting statements.
You can mention all individual papers.
What I'm saying to you is, it is a right of any person to choose a religion of his or her choice. And
but not to claim that he is a custodian of the people he has left behind. You can't leave a certain tradition and convert into other, and you still say, hey, I'm your leader there in that part, in that other tradition that you have left behind. That is betrayal. That is the truth, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Jew, whether you are a Christian. If you are a traditional leader, you are the custodian of African culture and spirituality. If you are a Christian, whatever religion, that means you have betrayed.
For someone to be a custodian of traditions in African culture does not even need for that person to become a chief. That one I want to make clear. It does not need to be a chief.
I've already made that. Is the individual choice.
I am a firstborn at my home. I am a custodian of the customs at my home. And I am a Muslim. Yes.
Then you are killing your people.
That is what. No, listen. Let me tell you one thing. No, you are imposing. You say Islam imposes, but you are imposing.
The problem, we cannot allow ourselves to be converted in this democracy, to be converted again. We were converted willy-nilly in the past, but not today. We cannot allow. Listen to the people of Mbezo, what they said. They said you are scared that he is going to convert us. Poor people, they are scared, but they cannot come out because they cannot kill the hand that feeds them. Yes, they cannot do that.
Let me just come in here. Let's take the practical situation Mama Mdende was talking about earlier, right? That here's Umakoti Wabatembu who has to, there's this ritual that has to be performed. From what you understand,
also.
Yes, from what you understand, what would happen in the particular instance that she cited?
I am Mtembu, fortunately, also, and I'm married also, and my wife was the Swamas, and that's got nothing to do with myself being a Muslim or not a Muslim. Islam acknowledges different cultures. Islam acknowledges and accepts. And I've said in the Quran, if she can go and read, the Quran says, Firstly,
no,
there is no
there's no need
compulsion
for me
in
to read
religion.
the
Number
Arabic
two,
text.
I'm not saying Arabic text now.
No,
unless you have heard any word in Arabic which I've said.
I won't be converted.
No, the Quran.
Okay, let the Sheikh finish, Mama.
The Quran, you've got the Quran in Xhosa also. You've got the Quran in Xhosa. And it's not a shame that the Quran was revealed in Arabic. Muhammad couldn't have never spoken to his people in Xhosa. Actually, they were not even Xhosa during his time.
So,
yes,
there goes the example that you cited. The Sheikh saying he himself, I mean, in his home, what you were saying would never happen actually happened.
Well, we are not sure. We are not sure ukuthi yenziwa kanjani lonto, because one thing I know about Muslim, ignorant as I am about other doctrines, one thing that I know, they don't want anything to do with alcohol. There's no way that in that ukudliswamasi there was umqombothi. And the wife of a Muslim can never prepare umqombothi.
But there are many, many people who believe, like who hold traditional beliefs, but who don't drink. And during those ceremonies, they won't be forced to drink.
I'm not talking about people who do not believe.
That umqombothi, even brandy, are not essential elements of the ritual.
Umqombothi is essential.
Even umqombothi is not, it's not essential. Umqombothi
you are
is
talking
something
from a Muslim perspective now.
Even, I'm talking
but I know,
from African
but Mama, I do know
African.
people who actually don't drink even umqombothi, but they'll be part of the ceremony.
I know that. That is why I'm saying, when a ritual is when people are preparing for the ritual, women, they would prepare umqombothi, whether their husbands drink or not. Whether most women, they don't even drink, but they will prepare umqombothi. Will Mandla's wife prepare umqombothi for isiko kumadlomo? Let's say there's a bringing back ritual. Do Muslims perform a bringing back ritual? Do Muslims prepare? They do practice a ritual of ukuzila. Do Muslims prepare accompany ritual ukukapa?
Okay, let's allow the Sheikh to answer your question.
Is it possible? Firstly, we start at one thing. Firstly, you've made a comment that Mandla became a Muslim because he converted because he wanted to get married. I'm not sure where do you get that, because Mandla's never said so.
The paper, the media are saying.
Number two, the media and everyone, there is a confirmation that Mandla became a Muslim in November last year, and he got married in February. So how do you go to someone's heart and based on what has happened in February, and you say that what led him to make that decision in November last year?
But didn't they meet before February, though, Sheikh?
Definitely. That is suspicious.
No. What I'm saying is that there is nothing which says that when Mandla became a Muslim, I just want to correct, Mandla didn't marry, or just a day before the one Mehdi was told that no, you can't marry because you are not a Muslim. Mandla became a Muslim in November. He lived for 3 months as a Muslim, and then he got married. Because even if it was myself, even if I knew someone I was involved with before, being a Muslim or no Muslim, but there's no way that I can get involved in that person except through marriage. So Mandla had to get married. But the fact that people, they got surprised that this man, they thought maybe just a Muslim now. They got surprised that he's been a Muslim for almost 4 months.
Well, Sheikh Mamdende, let's just take a quick break. We will conclude our discussion after this short break.
Okay.
Controlesa is actually stirring the pot here. I'm sure they've been consulted as contractors. They did not see a snake. Now that in certain areas there are certain benefits that might possibly be accruing, there is a snake, now we need to reverse the process.
I agree, but it is not above the sovereignty of the people. The very same court you're talking about.
The sovereignty of the people, probably you should explain that to me.
The sovereignty of the people is above everything.
It is not proper the way facts are presented to the public. Are you in contact with Khosekgolo Motshodi?
He was kicked out by the court because he wanted to be amicus curiae.
For your weekly dose of all things legal, join Dumile Mateza every Sunday at 2 p.m. only on SABC News Channel.
The big news is Newsroom.
We also stream live on YouTube.
Whether you're at home, at the office, or at the gym, wherever you are, Newsroom is right there with you. Bringing you all the latest news, updates, sports, weather, and everything in between. Get all the latest news you need on the go via live streaming on our YouTube channel. That's Newsroom, weekdays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching On the Record. And our topic for debate this evening is whether Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandla Mandela, betrayed his people by converting to Islam. I'm going to start with you this time around, Mamum, and ask you, are you really not being prejudicial? Are you not talking perhaps from a position of ignorance about what Islam is about?
No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking from the position of ignorance. I'm looking at the realities of what has happened. For instance, when a chief gets married, it starts from home and then to the local chiefs and so on and so on.
Where else did you?
It was never done like that.
Where else did you see this happen? Where else did you see someone, a man who converted to Islam and then betraying their traditional beliefs?
And Vuyo, people, I must correct this. I said from the very word go, the Constitution allows an individual to convert into whatever religion he or she wishes.
Your problem is with a traditional leader.
If you are a traditional leader and traditional leadership is claimed, is defined as being a custodian of African culture and spirituality, you can't, when you leave that institution and the beliefs of that institution.
Yes, Sheikh.
So the Constitution. No, I'm asking
you
so
are
the
the
Constitution.
leader of the people. You cannot act like a crab.
No.
You cannot act like a crab.
Okay, Mama, let's hear what the Chief has to say.
Are you saying the Constitution of this country is not? Are you saying the Constitution of this country is not applicable to traditional leaders?
I'm saying if a traditional leader converts, he must step down as a traditional leader because he no longer believes in the doctrines of his own ancestors. He has converted to the doctrines of other ancestors of another country. That is the reality.
But then, Mama,
and we don't see Vuyo. We have never had any Muslim converting to African religion or any Jew converting to African religion.
But we're not talking about a tit-for-tat situation here, are we?
Why is it only the black people that are seeing light in other traditions? That is colonial mentality.
But the Sheikh, Mama, did ask earlier why you not or you wouldn't display the same attitude if it was the other way around.
No. Which other way around for you?
In other words, in situations where there are Christians,
I've said
Christians who are practicing.
I have said it long ago. I've written documents on traditional leaders who claim to be custodians and are Christians. There's a lot of documents that we have written. We have criticized that from African. We have even saying the traditional leaders have deserted us. That is what you have said. That is why I'm saying you can go to the houses, whether it's provincial house, whether to the national house. They know that even when the government goes to the people and have convened a meeting of religious leaders, when they say traditional leaders, we're saying, oh, those people are Christians.
Okay.
They are no
Sheikh,
longer custodians of African culture.
Sheikh, this is not an attack against Muslims. Umama says this applies across the board, whether you are Christian or Muslim or Hindu, it doesn't matter to her.
One thing which she makes a mistake of, she thinks that Islam is the religion of certain ancestors, which is very a fallacious statement she's making, because Islam is not the religion of any tribe, of any nation.
But what do you say to a point which she makes now, or she underscores, that this is not an attack on Islam? She says she feels the way she feels about religion across the board.
Unless she can withdraw the statement which she made that Mandla has converted because of his wife.
Mama, are you prepared to withdraw that statement?
No. I'm not, because there's
how do you know?
Let Mama speak.
You cannot be converted in 2 months and then you marry. The question of marriage, it's a process.
How long should it take, Mama?
You first fall in love with your sweetheart. You first fall in love. But Mandla knew it very well that he cannot marry a Muslim if he is a non-Muslim.
Can I marry a Muslim if I'm non-Muslim, Sheikh?
Two things, and I'll explain to her also. I'll explain to the viewers also. If you are a man, you are not allowed in Islam to marry a Muslim woman. But if you are a woman, like Murinsen's Mamunokzola, you can't even marry a Muslim man. But if you are a woman, but who belongs to the faith of those who had the revealed books, like Christians or Jews, then that's the only concession which we're having.
You'll have to say that again,
the other
Sheikh.
thing is
I
that
didn't get it. I didn't get it. If you are a man, you can marry?
If you are a man
who
is not a Muslim, you cannot marry a Muslim woman.
Okay.
So that means a Muslim woman cannot marry a man who is not a Muslim.
So Mandela would not have married his wife if he wasn't Muslim?
Probably we wouldn't even have met her. We don't know. Maybe we wouldn't have met her. Because he was a Muslim in November.
No.
Probably met her in December.
Okay, whenever they met. I don't think that matters now. What I'm asking you is, would Mandla have been allowed to marry his wife if Mandla Mandela was not a Muslim?
If Mandla Mandela did not become a Muslim in November, then that would have been a question. But fortunately, that question never arose.
So he would not have been allowed.
When Mandla came,
Sheikh, he would not have been allowed.
So that question, it's a non-issue.
So Islam does, after all, discriminate against those who are non-Muslims?
No, Islam discriminates not only against those who are non-Muslims. It discriminates even against Muslims, because a Muslim can fall in love with someone who's not a Muslim. And that Muslim wants to marry, but is not allowed, because there are rules and regulations. That is why I'm saying there's nothing of being African or not African here in this issue. The rules of Islam are rules of Islam, whether you are an African, you are an Arab, you are an Indian, you are wherever. What Mamnoxol had said, which is very insulting, is that Islam is based on Arab culture, which looks down upon African culture. And I mentioned to her that if that is the case, the Arabs would have never chased away Muhammad. They chased away because the teachings which he brought even to the Arabs, they were not comfortable for them. Because even the Arabs themselves, when his daughter Muhammad was married to another Arab, and because she became a Muslim, that marriage was nullified. They were both Arabs. No African, no Arab or Indian or whatever thing here involved. An Arab to an Arab, but because the religion. So there's no cultural thing here being used to undermine any one's culture.
You know, in South Africa, even in this democracy, we've got a problem of being proselytized again by the Abrahamic faiths. Because now he's preaching, and the vice versa doesn't happen. Now when talking about the Arab, you know, when missionaries came, they forced us to have the so-called Christian names, as if there's a country called a Christian country, but those were Jewish, Romans, and English names. That's why I'm Oscarin today. I don't even understand what Oscarin means, but I'm Nokzola. That's my real name. But even with Islam, they have exceptions. Otherwise, they change those who have converted into, they give them Arabic names. That's a reality. But they have exceptions. That is why we have got Xhosas who are Tahirs and so on and so on and so on. So we cannot run away from the Arab nature of this. Why are they given Arabic names if it has got nothing to do with the Arab language? So the problem is that even in
Arab
this
language and
time,
Arab culture,
we are still
Arab language and Arab culture are
converted.
two different things. Don't confuse issues,
We are
Mama.
still
Arab
still
culture,
converted.
Arab culture and Arab language.
And the Abrahamic faiths, more especially Islam and Christianity, must stop converting us. And our own people who in this democracy claim to be fighting for the liberation of the black people must stop betraying us to say we're liberated, and yet they are taking us above the Mediterranean Sea.
Sheikh, did you want to come in there?
Yes, I just want to tell you, unfortunately, we are living in a free country, and whoever feels salvation in any religion, it is that person's choice to choose that particular religion without being
it's fine.
bogged down or
That is
stuck by the
fine.
fact that, let me complete. Because we were not part of our making which made us to become Xhosas or become Zulus or become Europeans or whatever. But God has blessed us with the mind to make choices in our life. And no one will use our color or use our language or our tribe to undermine our choices. You're bringing back to the same issue of apartheid, that for African people, they deserve this. For these people, they deserve. We are past that stage. Sorry,
They
Mama.
must not convert us.
Really.
That is the point I'm raising for you.
Mama?
That anyone has got a right to convert, but cannot claim to be my leader in my own tradition, and yet he has converted in another tradition. That is the basic point. We're not saying they must not convert, but they cannot come, they leave our tradition and come back to say, hey, I'm your leader, but I'm on the other side of the river. That is the
What tradition?
issue here.
What tradition are Muslims living? Let's talk about Xhosa Muslims. What tradition are they living?
I don't know. I don't know what a Xhosa Muslim is, because with me, I'm just a Xhosa, not a Xhosa Muslim. I don't know the meaning of the word Muslim and where it came from.
That means we cannot pass judgment. Don't pass judgment then.
Once you come and tell me that you are my leader in my own tradition, then I will pass judgment that, hey, Wetu, you chose to be here, so don't try and impose yourself on me. Full stop. That is why in the interfaith debates, Sheikh Salam knows that in the interfaith debate, if we are having a theme, the Muslims, they will discuss the theme, no problem. The Christians would do that, and would do that, and so on and so on. The problem is for these other religions to claim that they are also our leaders, or we have not yet seen the light, they are the light, or they are the people of God, as if we are not created by God, or as if God is Muslim or God is Christian. God is above all the religions, and we are created by the same God. The difference is how we go there. Therefore, no other religion should impose its own way, its own doctrines on us. We are independent, as they are independent. So, for one to convert and comes back to say he is our leader, that is what I call betrayal.
Your concluding remarks, Sheikh?
I agree with her. No religion has a right to impose itself on any person. But I disagree with the fact that someone, whatever position that person holds, if that person sees light in any religion of his choice, that is his democratic choice to exercise.
That means there was no light where he came from.
Of course.
That implies that there's no light where he came from. That is the problem. Therefore, if there was no light, he must go with the light and leave those that he thinks are in darkness.
I'll make an example of a person whom you know, who was a Muslim for many years, more than 20 years, who's a PhD holder and a close person to you. Today, is no longer a Muslim. But that person, we have never, as Muslims, threw stones at him, because that is his choice and we respect it.
But we're talking of leadership here. We're talking of a leader. A leader should not act.
The PhD holder is a leader, is a professor.
A leader must not act like a crab to say, I'm here, but I'm also there.
That's
go
insulting.
This way, and he goes another way. A leader should lead by example.
Sheikh,
that's very insulting.
Mama Nokzola.
Yes, but lead by example.
I guess you are agreeing to disagree. I don't think there will ever be a time when the two of you will find one another, will there?
Because the Abrahamic faiths, more especially the proselytizing religions, which are Christianity and Islam, must stop converting us, must preach to their own people,
but
not
you are
to
proselytizing
us.
yourself,
I will never be allowed to convert a Muslim.
You have started a religion which is proselytizing. Mamnokzola, you are proselytizing yourself.
The evangelizing religions.
No, you are an evangelist yourself.
No, I'm talking about my stand. I'm talking about my stand. That no one should come in my stand and say, what I'm having, I'm in the darkness, and he has seen light somewhere. He must go where there's light. He can't say, I'm going where there's light, but I'm leading you. No, in the darkness. He has left the darkness. He must stay there.
Okay.
What I'm saying, Mamnokzola, proselytizing, it's got nothing to do with being Xhosa or not Xhosa. For yourself, you know, you are proselytizing yourself. You go all around preaching whatever, writing books and having institutes, trying to promote your kind of religion, which
you
we
are
don't
the
know.
very same people who say our religion is oral. We are writing. We are writing for our own constituencies. We are writing for our own constituencies. They must read. As you are quoting, we must also quote.
Sure.
As you are quoting.
So
what's wrong when we quote? What's wrong when we write about our own religion?
Welcome to the club.
Well,
what's wrong? The club, Mom. Welcome to the club.
Sheikh Salam, I have to thank both of you for being part of this conversation. I'm just not too sure, though, if I guess we need more time to understand some of the things that both of you were raising, and hopefully one day you will both find one another in the interests of humanity. But that's not to say these debates should not take place.
As long as
these
we are not
should,
converted.
in fact, continue. And where perhaps some of us need to be persuaded, we shall be persuaded. Thank you very much for both of you. To both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good.
Well, that's where we're going to leave tonight's discussion. Well, in the last couple of days, many premiers have been delivering their State of the Nation address. And over the next course of the next couple of days, we will, of course, be bringing you more one-on-one interviews with all the premiers. But for tonight, though, we sincerely apologize. We wanted to bring you a one-on-one interview with the Premier of the Eastern Cape, who delivered his State of the Province address on Friday, but unfortunately due to technical errors, we weren't able to bring you that interview. We hope to bring it to you tomorrow. And that's why we're going to leave it for tonight. From me, Vuyo Mvogo, and the rest of the crew, it's good night.